Hey guys, my name is Jamie Mitchum. I'm an author and an illustrator, and this channel is set up so I can kind of give you guys an insight to what it's like to be an author. So you want to be an author? So the first question I would have to ask you is, what is it worth to you to be an author? For some people, they have a career path set for them. They think that that's definitely what they want for their life. And then when life tests them, they realize it's not worth it. Because this is one of the hardest industries to get into. Things have changed a little bit with being able to self-publish through platforms like CreateSpace, which I've used and several of my friends have used, but it's still very, very difficult for you to make a living off of it. There's other people that maybe think of writing as a hobby, but then once they get into it, they realize, wow, this is a really big deal. This is something I want to be a part of. And that was my case. I wrote music but never wrote a book. And the first experience I had with that was a story I had. It was so simple. It was just a play on words. A twig falls from his family tree. And for some reason I couldn't get it out of my head. I built a little story around it, and I have a book now because of it. So if you're one of those people who, maybe you don't even know what the answer to that question is yet, but if you're in a place where you think you really might want to do this, and it's something that you're thinking about at work, you're thinking about at school, then it's definitely something you might want to pursue. I've posted up some of my artwork. This is actually artwork done by another illustrator. I'm going to make a coloring book out of this, so I decided to have it done black and white first, and then I'm going to do color afterwards. And I'll try to do a bunch of different mediums. I'd like to try to hit every single medium that's out there. Even this, these guys are really cool. This is actually construction paper and stuff you would see in like scrapbooking and things like that.
This is something I actually decided to do differently. Generally, when I'm writing a story, it's usually a children's story, so the characters are limited, and I can just pull them from my imagination. In this case, with this novel, it's an adult novel, and there's so many characters involved. I didn't want to just have this image in my head of the person and then relay back to them later in the story and something be off. So I got some pictures online of different people that kind of matched what was in my head for the characters. Some of these are people that you've seen in movies, such as this guy. Some people have no clue. This is Sheriff David Clark. I have no clue who this dude is, but apparently he's been all over the internet. Something was going on big with him, and I even actually kept his name the same because it stuck with me. And in some cases, I have like a really good friend of mine, John Hamm, and his grandson. So it's really nice to have them as a reference, and I have points where they might be happy or might be upset. And then there's some odd stuff, like there's so much going on with this story. This is a seating arrangement for an office space for a group of characters that I don't follow that much. You wouldn't think that the seating arrangement would be a big deal, but it is in this story because the way these people interact is based on their seating arrangement. And there's certain things like Kim Young, she's sitting up front for a reason. I'm sure anybody who's been in school knows there's a general way people go about seating in a classroom. Certain people sit in the back for a reason, certain people up front for a reason, and then the classroom reacts and interacts a certain way because of that. And then, of course, this is a basic outline. I use a lot of Post-it notes. This is based in 1996, so I had to have a calendar so I could keep track of what days, what dates were going on, and so I have this basic outline of all of the events in the book, and then as I'm writing the book, these are only 5 of the notebooks that I have for this book out of a drawer full of many more. as I'm writing the book, instead of chapters, I set this up based on timestamps, a date and a time. And so I keep this with me so I can refer back to things and keep track of that.
So what is this? This looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was. It's a little spinner wheel we made. Me and my dad put this together. When I first started writing, I had the idea to get some book, promotions going, and wanted a bit to help somebody at the same time. So the initial thought was go and get some donations so we could donate to St. Jude's or something like that. That's why I made this banner here. And we had some places that were very helpful to set that up. We weren't able to do St. Jude's, but we were able to do some cool stuff. Me and co-author Brandon Axe, me and him were able to go into a home for battered kids and a school for them and speak with them and give them books. Was also able to give all the kids at Piedmont Medical Center in Rock Hill, South Carolina, a book that had to stay in the hospital during the month of December this past year.
So how would you best describe your journey as an author?
I'd say definitely a long one. It took me a while to realize that this was certainly something I wanted to do no matter what. Once I realized that, I had no idea what I was in for. Create Space it's an avenue that allows somebody to easily be able to publish a book and hold something in their hand. And if that's all that's important to you, is just to hold a book in your hand. That's an awesome feeling. I would probably compare it to what it would feel like to be traditionally published and see your book in a store, honestly, because it's just something that a lot of people don't do. But it's so hard, there's so many things that have gotten in the way. It's a big juggling act, really. It's the only way I can describe it. So this is really, really important, and it's really cool. Pastor Stephen Furtick of Elevation Church did a message a while back on perspective, and it was one of my favorite messages because it's something that I've learned to have a good understanding of for quite a while, since I was a teenager. And it started with juggling. Most people can't juggle. It's just one of those things, they fumble around with it. And I had tried it a few times and was unsuccessful, but it was weird. I watched this thing on TV. I was like about 14 years old. And this guy had said, the reason most people can't juggle is because they're focused on catching the ball. And he said that's not important. What's important is to throw the ball well. And if you throw the ball well and you know where it's going, then it's easy to anticipate where you need to be. And that's a really good example of what it's like as a writer or anything that you're pursuing in your life. If you know where you're headed, if you know where you're going with something, then it's easy to anticipate where you need to be farther down the line so that you're prepared for it. So I listened to that, and I picked up some random items in the house, I think some apples or something, and I tried to juggle. And the very first time I tried it, I was successful at it. So I was capable of juggling all along. The only thing that changed was my perspective. And it's just crazy how your perspective can make that much difference. And it's also a good metaphor for balance. I have writing that I deal with, but I have a family, I have a daughter, I have to pay my bills, just like anybody else just starting out would have to do. And I got 3 of my daughter's little toys. These are perfect examples. If I have good balance with all 3 of the things that are most important to me, then I can sit here and juggle for a good decent amount of time. It's not that difficult. But one of the problems you have is let's say you take something that is a little bit bigger, and your balance is out of whack. Something else is pulling you in a direction. Maybe you have to work more and you don't have time to write. Maybe you're putting too much time into your writing and not enough into your family, whatever the case may be. Whenever your balance is off, it becomes, see, I can't even do it but a few seconds. And then if I even do it again and throw my balance off even more, then juggling, see, and I didn't do that on purpose. It's just, it's how things are. And it's a perfect example of your life. Life is a juggling act, for lack of a better word. And you have to have some balance in it. And you have to, most importantly, have a good perspective. If you're a type of person who knows you want to be an author, you're 100% sure of it, have that perspective, already put it in your mind that that's who you are. Not who you want to be, but that's who you are. Because then your perspective changes and you start acting accordingly. And it's going to make a big impact on how you go about your day.
So what advice would you have for someone who's just starting out?
Just do it. Just do it. I mean, like he said it best. It's really no other way of saying it. You're always going to have something that gets in your way. Just making this video has been way more difficult than it should be. You know, so many different things have happened to put a hold on this. And if you really want it, if you are that person that's like, no matter what, I'm going to fight, I'm going to get to where I want to be as a writer, as an author, just do it. Don't make excuses. This is one of my most cherished items that I have. A deluxe edition, write your own book. I found this in one of the little free libraries. I don't know if they have them in your area, but they're everywhere around here. And it's really cool. You take a book and put a book in it for free. And when I opened it, the first thing I noticed was this writing in here. And it says, I think Betty, but it says, "Love from Aunt Lee and Uncle Chris, Christmas 1977. And I thought, man, that is really cool. But then, look, every page, blank. There's not a scratch on any of them. It even has an area, you know, where you can write, you know, your name in there. And whoever this was given to, obviously the person that gave it to him thought this person enjoyed writing to some extent. But they never wrote a word in it. This is 40 years old. And it's in mint condition, but it's blank. Everybody has some type of story to tell. Everybody's life is interesting on some level and important. And if you let excuses get in your way, then you'll never do anything. But if you really want to do it, just do it. Just do it. Don't worry about it being perfect. That was one of my biggest crutches. I wanted everything to be perfect. I thought, if I have this new computer or this new set of colors for my paints, or if I had this program or whatever, then I would be ready. You're never going to be ready. You know, don't worry about it being perfect. Just do it. That's all that matters. And hopefully something good will come out of it.